This is lesson 1-2, adding integers. In this lesson, the essential question is the sum of two integers, positive, negative, or 0, and how can you tell? And after this lesson, you should be able to answer that question. So the key idea in this lesson is that you're going to be adding integers with the same sign, meaning that your integers are either going to be all positive, like these two, positive plus a positive, or all negative, negative plus a negative. Or you could have integers with different signs, and we'll get to those types of problems in a little bit. Okay, so when you have integers with a common sign, you are going to add the absolute value of the integers and then use that common sign. Or you're going to add like you would normally add and then apply the same sign. Ooh, it's hard to write with a mouse. So you're going to add like you would normally add and then apply the same sign. So 2 plus 5 is 7, and a negative 2 plus a negative 5 is going to be a negative 7. Or a negative 9 plus a negative 1 is going to be a negative 10. You would add their absolute value or ignore the signs initially and add the numbers. 9 plus 1 is 10. And then because they're both negative, your answer then is going to be negative. That's how you add integers with the same sign. So adding them with the same sign is pretty simple. Okay? It really is quite simple. Okay, so if we want to find a negative 2 plus a negative 4, again, you have a negative plus a negative, so you would take the absolute value of 2, which is 2, and the absolute value of a negative 4, which is 4, and 2 plus 4 is 6. But because they're both negative, your answer is going to be a negative 6. Because a negative and a negative is going to give you a negative answer. Okay? Now it asks you to use number line or tiles to check your answer. I personally am a fan more of the tiles than I am of the number line, but you could do either or. So if you have a negative 2 tiles, and you're going to add to that a negative 4 tiles, how many total negative tiles do we have? Well, 4 and 2 gives me a total of a negative 6 tiles. Okay? So that's a way you could check it. Or you could also use the number line if you choose to use the number line, which, if that's your 0, if that's a negative 2, so you're going to start at 0, you go to negative 2, okay, and you need to add 4 more, so if that's negative 2, this is negative 4, this is negative 6. Well, we need to add 4 more. I'm going to use a different color, so I'll use red. So 4 more, well, that's 2 more, and that's 2 more yet, so that is a negative 4. So 2 and 4 more gives us our answer of a negative 6. Okay? All right. So now we want to add these integers with similar signs. So if you, again, you're just looking at the absolute values, so you have, and then adding them and applying the same sign. So 13 and 7 is going to be, oops, and I still have it on red, it's going to be 20. Okay? And it's a positive 20 because they're both positive. Negative 8 plus negative 5, 8 and 5 is 13. And because they're both negative, it's going to be a negative 13. And 20 and 15, negative 20 and a negative 15. 20 plus 15 is 35. But because they're both negative, our answer is going to be a negative 35. Okay? Okay. Now, not all of our problems are going to be adding integers with the same signs. There are also going to be some problems with adding integers with different signs, and this is when it gets a little bit more challenging, just like you might have noticed on the activity that we did. So when you're adding integers with different signs, what you're going to do is you're going to subtract the lesser absolute value from the greater absolute value. So integers, you know, unlike regular addition of positive numbers, when they're both positive, you're not actually adding, you're subtracting. So what you're going to do is, because you're using that additive inverse property, what you're going to do is you are going to, if the signs are different, you are going to subtract the larger number's absolute value from the add-in, the other add-in, and apply, that's supposed to be an addition, an and sign, the larger number sign. Okay, so if I have a negative 4 plus 3, okay, negative 4, the absolute value of negative 4 is 4, the absolute value of 3 is 3, so the negative 4 is larger. So in other words, you ignore the signs, and 4 is bigger than 3, so you're going to subtract 4 minus 3, and 4 minus 3 is 1. But because 4 is the larger number, you're going to apply that number sign, so it's a negative 1. Okay? So you subtract them and apply the larger number sign. And when we did it in tiles, that's where we had that zero pair. So if we have 4 negatives, and we're adding to that 3 positives, you create that zero pair, and you're going to cross out each positive and negative that matches up. So that is a zero pair, that is a zero pair, and that is a zero pair, and you're left with that negative 1. And that proves it. That justifies your answer. Okay? And that's the additive inverse property. Well, that is what makes it possible. So the additive inverse property is what is this zero pair. It essentially says that the opposites equal 0. So it makes, that is really what is the zero pair. It makes this zero pair possible, and that's why you can add integers the way that we add integers. Okay? All right. So if we have 5 plus a negative 10, our signs are different. So when our signs are different, we're going to subtract. So the absolute value of 5 is 5, the absolute value of negative 10 is 10. Because 10 is larger, you're actually going to take 10 minus 5. And 10 minus 5 is 5. Okay? Now, which one is larger? 10 was larger. So because 10 is larger, you look at the sign of 10, and the sign of 10 is negative, so therefore your answer is then going to be negative. So your answer is negative 5. Okay, you have a negative 3 and 7. The absolute value of negative 3 is 3. The absolute value of 7 is 7. 7 is larger, so it's 7 minus 3. 7 minus 3 is 4. 7 is larger, 7 is positive, so our answer is a positive 4. And when you're talking about positives, you do not, like I said before, you do not use the plus sign. You just leave it as such. Okay? All right. The list shows here 4 bank accounts, 4 bank account transactions in July. Find the change C in the account balance. Now, when you have integers, you can't do a bunch of numbers all at once. You need to go step by step by step. So you have a negative 40, because that's a withdrawal, plus 50. Okay? So a negative 40 and 50. The absolute value of negative 40 is 40. The absolute value of 50 is 50. So you're going to subtract 50 minus 40 is 10. Okay? Now, 50 is larger and 50 is positive, so our answer is going to be a positive 10. Now we have to add to that our next number, which is 75. Well, that's a positive plus a positive. When it's a positive plus a positive, we just add and keep the same side, so our answer is going to be 85. And then we add to that the last number, which is a negative 50. Okay? So we have 85 plus a negative 50. Signs are different, so we're actually going to subtract. 85 is larger, so 85 minus 50 is going to be 35. And since 85 is larger, our answer is going to be positive, and we need to put that dollar sign there because we have to attend to precision and it's money. So our answer is $35. Okay, here we go. Negative 2 plus 11, you're going to subtract. 11 minus 2 is going to be 9, and our answer is positive because the 11 is larger. 9 plus a negative 10, 10 minus 9 is 1, the 10 is negative, so our answer is negative. Negative 31 plus 31, that's our additive inverse property, so our answer is 0. What if, in example 3, the deposit amounts are 30 and 40? Find the change C in the account balance. So we need to go back. If this was, our deposits were 30 and 40 instead of 50 and 75, so if this was 30 and this was 40, how would that change our answer? Okay, well, a negative 40 plus 30, that's going to make this a negative 10, not a positive 10, because negative 40 minus 30 is 10, but 40 then is bigger, so it becomes a negative 10. A negative 10 plus 40, it's now not a positive and a negative, it's a negative and a positive, so you're going to subtract 40 plus a negative 10, so 40 minus 10 is 30. So this becomes a 30, and it's going to be a positive because 40 is bigger. 30 plus a negative 50, they're different, so you subtract. So 50 minus 30 is 20, and 50 is bigger and it's negative, so our answer is going to be a negative $20, which is not good because you don't want to be at negative in your checking account. That's never a good thing. So, okay. Looking at this problem, what do we know about the sum of A plus B? If this is A and this is B and 0 is right here, if we're going to add A plus B, and we don't know what their value is, but what do we know about our answer? What can you tell me about that answer? You would know that because B is further out than A, you would know that our answer is going to be positive, because B is bigger than A, and A is negative and B is positive, so therefore our answer is going to be positive. Okay? Okay. All right, that is your lesson for today.